go. Watch the lights. Green flag. Hit it, hit it.
Hello everybody and welcome to the the second round, I apologise, of the Donington Championship right here on the Sim Raceway YouTube channel in a and what better weather to showcase the car as gracious as this as the Lotus ATAB makes its debut on a Sim Raceway YouTube broadcast here. These drivers in the Donington Championship looking to really up their game today. We had a bit of a rough start to it for some of these drivers, some of them still looking to get that all-important breakout race, to get them in contention for what could really be one of the biggest championships they compete in, with the stakes of course being higher than ever. When you think about what is at stake here today, you've got two tickets to a British touring car race at the Donington circuit later on in 2014. It really is a fantastic opportunity and one these drivers simply do not want to miss at all. So we currently join us in the final 5 minutes or so of qualifying. We've got approximately 2 minutes 54 to go, and it's Lionheart 88 that currently tops the timesheets with a lap time of a 1 minute 19.034. Zepaquenu just behind, a 1:19.117. Sat in third place is Nganj, and fourth place is Emax 46, with Clark 10 just rounding out your top 5. And the top 5 all separated by just 900ths of a second, so still very close despite the late stages of this qualifying, and we still got 5 cars separated by less than a second. So very tense moments here in the closing stages of this qualifying session. And just going to be taking a look actually at the championship standings at the moment, and just quickly giving you an update as to who is where then. So Crass Action is currently leading the championship on 70 points after a win in week number 1. Vijay in second with 66. Then the man who's currently sat secondly qualifying at the moment, rounding out the front row, Zepaquenu, a man who could very well be a dark horse today to get those 8 points to catch him up to Crass Action. KKND 4th, WTTN in 5th, Nganj in 6th, Dimitri 7th, Devil Bev in 8th, Crash in 9th, Clement in 10th after a very impressive debut there, Andy Bob in 11th, Giangi in P12, Pack 23 in P13, and Clark 10 in 14th. So Lionheart is a bit of a latecomer to this series. He wants to score some points. If he has a chance of maybe getting these tickets, he needs really 140 points, and that is going to be a very difficult task to conquer. Zepaquenu, however, would love a pole position, would love to get himself on the circuit. Nganj as well, currently P3 in qualifying. In the championship, he's P6 with 50 points, 20 away from current leader Crass Action at the moment. We look down the field as well. Vijay there, P9, the man who's in second in the championship. Crass Action is not in this race, which means that the battle for the lead in this championship is going to come down maybe a lot sooner than we once thought. Crass Action could not get this dominant spree here today. He's not in the session, unless I'm told otherwise, unless he's joining late. But I believe you've got a full grid almost, so he's going to leave it to the likes of Zepaquenu, Nganj, Clark 10 maybe, Vijay definitely, but down in P10. Vijay needs to set a time, and he needs to set a good one. He's just going into that final corner again now. Swings the car in nice and early on, needs to get a good exit. Watch out for the oversteer, and there it is. Exactly what the 88B is so renowned for. Unfortunately, Vijay doesn't beat his time then, and he's losing the car again. It is so difficult right now to actually get himself, well, within trap position of catching anyone else. He's about a 10th away from P10 now. He's been knocked down. Guzel takes his place in P9, bumping him down to the 6th row of the grid. And not being a strong start at all there for Vijay, and he's lost the car, and that is session over surely. And these Lotus feel like they really are driving on ice half the time. Nowhere near the aerodynamic level of the modern day Formula 1 car. You can see there is no front wing. The rear wing is very limited in what it can do considering the shape of the car. It really is a driver's car. It's one that will push the driver to the limit, and it really is one that's going to distinguish the men from the boys today. Who's going to be taken for a ride and who's going to be driving the ride? All's going to become apparent when the race gets underway. WTTN M1 gets himself just over the line there. He doesn't improve his time at all. Neither does Max Home there in P15. Lionheart and Zepaquenu do not improve their times respectively. They now stay in first and second position. Clark 10 also. There goes Brock Landers in Ganja P4. And this session has pretty much come to a close. Yes, it has. We'll be back very, very shortly with the full race for you. Hello everybody and welcome back live to the Sim Raceway. I would say Sunday race off, but again this is the Donington Championship. Do not adjust your sets. If you've just tuned in for the Sunday race off, you're in the right place, but this is a season where the stipulations are much higher. What a perfect way to close out 2013 than to have the holiday season celebrated by 2 pairs of tickets to the British Touring Car Championship in 2014 up for grabs. Let's find out who's going to win this race and take their next step on the road to glory. Lionheart's on pole, leading into turn 1. He's a big start. Zephyr is slightly slow off the line, but watch out though. These cars into that first corner of Redgate can get quite frisky. And already they have. Ingan's very lucky now. Zephyr has been knocked off. And despair echoes around Redgate as Zephyr, the man who was second in the championship, he was second on the grid, had a perfect chance today, takes an early disadvantage. However, the rest of the drivers now making their way through the very tense section of the Craner curves in towards the old hairpin. Well, have to be careful. Andy Bob's gone flying off there, and that has gone up in towards the old hairpin actually, just gone through McLean's there. So, very unfortunate race for a couple of drivers already. Zephyr therefore promoted to 13th position. So, anyway, won't be at all, is it? He's going to try and push his way through. Clark 10 showing some maybe disconcern in there as to what's going on. But as we look a bit further up the field, Lionheart 88 pulls away emphatically as they go in towards the Melbourne hairpin. You've got to take a look at what Lionheart's doing as well, considering that this is his first race in the championship. And that there's only one more race after this, so a total of only 140 points up for grabs. He gets 70 of them here today with crass action not there. He's going to make some big leaps into maybe putting off the underdog story of the year. Lionheart leads into turn 1 at the end of lap 1 as your race leader. Inganj follows in second. Emax 46, I beg your pardon, in P3. Brocklander's 4th. Goozle P5. The Vijay up to P6. Strong start there. Then a really big battle as they go through now in towards the crane of curves of Max Shome, WTTN and KKND. All line astern as they make their way up in towards McLean's and the old hairpin. WTTN wasting no time at all. He wants to look for a move as soon as possible. Is he going to get one through there? No, that's another issue. Not at this time. He's going to keep pushing though. Max Shome maybe pushing the road out a bit more. On a late move from KKND, and WTTN has to go wide, and somehow both cars come off unscathed. That was a very tense moment indeed as both cars fight on. And I think drivers just to be very careful in these early stages. They know how loose these cars are, how prone to oversteering they are, and how big the stakes are. In their Echo, as you can see, WTTN again almost making a bit of contact, trying to force Max Shome into an error, but in return, KKND almost got a much better drive coming out of that hairpin. And as they fly in towards Goddard, it's a late move from KKND, but that has sealed in the position for now, providing he doesn't go wide. No, he doesn't. He stays there. So P8 for KKND as he makes a big leap forward. Zepaquenu up into the top 10 already. If he can just make this move stick on Darek, he can't at the moment. So Darek does retain that top 10 position. As Zepaquenu is kind of scratching his head. An update as to what's happening a little bit further up the field as well. Then Lionheart now with a 7/10 of a second lead. Really is flying at the moment. Cannot ask for a better start than that. Mary Gard is still trying to keep him maybe on his toes there, so only 9/10 separated as they go through the first sector. Through that chicane, Emax and Brock follow, then Goozle and Vijay. Vijay who is getting closer. Max Shome not too far adrift either, but he's still bringing that trio with him. And they could get a 4th member as Zepaquenu, having just dispersed of Andy Bob, looks to join the party. WTTN and Max Shome battle away. It's like watching Scale X Trick these cars do battle. They're so freakishly fast. Into the old hairpin once again through Goddard, and WTTN got to be so careful. Retain their current positions, no change at the end of lap number 4. The first third of the race is out of the way. And we're getting ready just to complete the first quarter very shortly. Take a look as well, maybe what Inganj is doing. He's now 1.5 away that round. On that 4, he's way now, and he's not really too late. That's going to be the prime objective here. Spest is getting towards that halfway stage as well. Update through the order then as Lionheart almost ends up to his first bit of traffic there, in fact, as he goes up in towards Goddard's for the 4th time today. Inganj second, 0.8 seconds away, so he's lost a further 3/10. He is not doing what he needs to. He's in fact going backwards, if anything. He's still going to see a mighty 3.710 lead over Emax 46, but even so, it's not going to be enough if he wants to try and be a contender for a race win here today and stop Lionheart coming in as an underdog and taking a whopping 70 points out of Class Action's lead. Class Action is going to sink down the order having missed this event. That's a given. There's no way he'll be staying with about maybe 20, 30 points to have a chance to take it today. But where position is everything, you really do need to make the most of the opportunities, and that is exactly what Lionheart 88 is doing right now. He is in the now it's a 2.3 second lead, so he just keeps on impressing, keeps on improving. There's no time for letting up there at all, is he? Second play, the battle for 4th has just got underway as Brock Landers wants a podium round the outside of the chicane, and that was a bold statement there by Brock. incredible manoeuvre there, and that has really set it in a good field to really catch. And in second place, the man we were just talking about a few moments ago in Garnshoes, still trying to catch the race leader and still falling behind miserably, now 2.2 seconds as they come towards the end of lap number 5. But Brock Landers, having just taken third position, making a big statement there, as we said, when we look to the current championship standings, as they are at the moment. Class Action, again, I believe, is in the same boat as Lionheart 88, so 2 newcomers to the series. But maybe there's a lot to race for, and especially as you look down the field into the Craner curves, a big off there as KKND loses control and pirouettes dancing on ice. That's many pirouettes there, but that pack's still together. Andy Bob's off again. That is the second incident in 6 laps, I believe. The again point the car facing forward, but let me take a bit of an off as well. There were too many cars backed up. But Zepaquenu now up to P7. It's been an incredible recovery drive so far. Vijay looking to the inside, they connect! And the 2 cars who are fighting for this championship make contact. Just going to make their way down the old straight again in towards that chicane. And they come together. NASCAR 88 fan now separates. The question is, can he get himself further forward? Just wait and see what happens. It's been a very interesting first half to the race, that's for sure. So a quick update as we're now halfway through. Lionheart does indefinitely lead this race by 3.5 seconds. Has not looked back since. In Garn second, third is Emax, fourth Brock, fifth Kuzel, sixth Max Jones, seventh is Zepaquenu, eighth NASCAR 88 fan after separating the 2 cars who previously connected. Just going over the top. Means the 2 cars made contact. Luckily they're both still okay now. Both didn't lose a position, or well, any vital position. Mainly just a few seconds on the circuit, but it was through Coppice the 2 cars came together. I stand corrected. I'm looking a bit further back now. We've had another off there. It's Vijay again. So Vijay has had, well, 2 incidents in as many laps now. And he's now under pressure from Andy Bob and WTTN as well. Both of those drivers who are fighting to get their race back on track as time runs away from them. Donington is so difficult to pass here as well. It really does demand outside the box thinking here. And being stuck behind a slower car is not where Andy Bob or WTTN wish to be. And that's why WTTN looks to the inside of the chicane. That's going to be tricky there. We should need a front yes, not really the second to pass. Cars float to help once again. Is done a good job as he kicks the back end out. And that may just allow a sneak look at the inside perhaps. Don't write it off. But one more time. So it's 3/4 of the way through this race almost now. Lionheart 88 still doing an incredible job at the front of the field. 4.8 seconds. He's had every lap from pole. And this is the way to make it. Thing is with this one, especially with it only being 3 races long, you really do need to make the most of every opportunity given to you, and that is exactly what Lionheart's done in the first stint of this race. Fourth spot still out, having lost a podium place back to that. All 6th is Max Schoen, 7th is Zepaquenu, 8th NASCAR fan still holding up after Vijay lost another position. Then Darek up to P9, Vijay 10th, 11th Andy Bob, 12th WTTN, and 13th KKND, with Clark rounding out your field in P14 with still no retirements. Starting out strong here then. Plenty of time left on track for maybe a surprise to occur. It's not all set in stone here at Donington Park. That is for sure. maybe let's just try and take a look on board at what is making Lionheart so fast as he just goes the old head again. Very strong through there, a little bit of a kick, but nothing he can't control as he's already up to 160 miles an hour almost. Oh, breaking it up. So down the Wheatcross straight he goes, and then in towards that first corner of Redgate, the right-hander catches the apex beautifully, lets the car roll to the outside before applying the throttle in third gear to make sure the car does not max out on revs through Hollywood and in towards the Craner curves then. Dividing up now in towards the old hairpin, a steep climb before making your way through Starkey's Bridge. And there you go, as he goes up into the hairpin now. Really clean he goes, and in towards the end of one, and it's going to hit Coppins. This is a corner which saw the contact with Zach right a few moments ago. Nice and flat through there, nothing stopping him at all as he goes down the back stretch and in towards the Fogger TS's. Nice and easy, didn't even touch the curbs there. That was the cleanest line I think I've seen in a long time. With these cars through there, they make their way down in towards the Melbourne hairpin again. Wide entrance there, just so we can cut in nice and early, get that car straightened up, and away he goes. 6.5 seconds away is Ingange at the moment. And in towards Goddard's. Time number 10 today. He starts the penultimate lap in the lead of the race. We've had a couple of penalties issued. WTCM, we sure will be revoked. So Zeppaqueni is still trying to catch Mark Shome at the moment. Andy Bob nice and early through the chicane, but he's got to be careful there because he almost hit the anti-cut strip at very, very awkward angles over the last couple of laps. But as we take a look at what Ngan is doing right now, he's 7 seconds away, 6 seconds in front of Emax, which ideally is probably going to send him into the championship lead, unless I stand corrected. Ngange currently has 50 points anyway, so with the addition of 66, a quick bit of maths there tells me he will be on 106 points going into round number 3, which sets him in very good position to take a series win. Now, it'll be 116 points, I stand corrected. And then Chance goes in towards the final corner to start the final lap. He'll be behind our race leader, Lionheart 88. He's already flying. Keep an eye on what those two cars are doing, 7th and 8th as well. NASCAR fan still dueling away there. That's incredible stuff. As they make their way down into the hairpin once again. Darek very close there, right underneath them as he looks to the inside. Nothing going through there. He's got to be very careful and hold off. To the outside of the final corner, that's surely not going to work. No, NASCAR goes deep though, and Darek slips straight through the inside. NASCAR tries to defend. Salah holds on. The two are side by side going into Redgate, and this could be absolutely vital now. And somehow Darek had a drive in there by Darek. But we do need to keep an eye on what Lionheart 88 is doing. He's only got 2 more corners left to go. And praise his man enough. He's coming. And having missed the first race in the series, he's taken a pole position. He's led every single lap. And he may have done the triple. He may have done the Grand Slam and set the fastest lap as well. But one thing's for certain, Lionheart 88 takes 70 points. And do not count him out from a potential championship win. Lionheart wins second round of the Donington Championship in the skill squad. What a fantastic drive that really was. Second there for Ngan, third for Emax. Very good result for him. Brock Landers will take a very consistent P4. P5 for Kuzel. Zeppaqueno is going to recover his car all the way to 6th position, so very good drive for him considering he was taken out of turn number 1. Of course, it's aligned some solid points for him. Max Shome, P7. 8 for Darek. 9th for NASCAR 88 fan. Then 10th will be Vijay, 11th Andy Bob, 12th and 13th WTTN M1, with our last runner being Clark 10, who will finish in 14th place. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We've still got a few more races for you before we call it a night here in the Sim Raceway Championship weekends. We first of all, though, go to the December Evo Championship, which takes place at the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. We'll be back very shortly with more action. Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the Sim Raceway December Championship for the Mitsubishi Evo. It is the Evolution X Championship and it really is a special race in Sim Raceway history. The reason being that we have 5 Performance Driving Centre Hot Lap winners. So 5 drivers who've been out to Sonoma Raceway, who've been to the Sim Raceway, the HQ almost, at Sonoma and driven these Evos. So 5 of the fastest drivers that really Sim Raceway has to offer. So those 5 drivers are Stuntman Mike, Van Panther, Lolin Fox, B1386, and of course Asa Okoro. And you take a look at the standings currently of the Evolution X World Championship and currently who stands where when it goes in towards these standings. We've got Shadow Bounty who leads on 20 points and Lolin Fox in 2nd, Wild 7 3rd, PA 4th, Ragster 5th, Chris 007 there in P6. P7 is going to be just a little bit further behind there for King Dio. You got Tomcat, then Luke Sky, Kras, Lazarus, Dimitris Giannopoulos, Van Panther, and then Arceo 72. So that was after race number 1. Going into race number 2, the standings were a little bit different. In fact, so I'll quickly run you through those ones now as well, and when you just take a look as well just how different they are. Shadow Bounty now leads, then Wild 7, PA, Van Panther, Lolin Fox, Ragster, who rounds out your top 6, and then Segadila, Luke Sky, Mergia, Lazarus, Dio, Kras, Chris, Tomcat, Litos, now Senor, Dimitris, and Jim Wally, who sits on 3 points. And then you look at today's Laguna Seca with the strongest strength of field that Sim Raceway has ever seen. 5 of the fastest drivers that Sim Raceway really has ever taken witness to. Lolin Fox is currently leading this qualifying session. Van Panther in 2nd, Stuntman Mike 3rd, B1386 in P4, Asa Okolo 5, King Dio there P6 at the moment, Segadila 7th, Mergia in 8th, 9th is Ragster, 10th Wild 7, 11th PA, 12th Litos, and 13th place at the moment is Belinas. So really is a very intense situation for these drivers right now. There's still a lot to play for, there's a lot at stake. And when you go into a track like Laguna Seca as well, one that drivers really do love to drive on, it's going to make it a very, very... Listen as well to how... Oh, that's Lolin Fox in the wall. I was going to say, I thought that was a bit of a rapid downshift. That was going into the corkscrew and he's completely mistimed that. But I think a big impact there as well, especially considering how much time we've got left. There's only 2 minutes 18 seconds. The average lap time being about a 1:41. The top 5 currently inside the 1:40s. The only man isn't, and then obviously further down. So the one man who isn't at the moment inside the 1 minute 40s is Segadila, who's on a 1:41.155, and then Ragster behind just 0.02 of a second behind him at the moment. 9, 38 days, 1:41.4. Then there is Wild 7, 11th Mr. PA, and then 12th place Litos 76 with Molinos still yet to set a time as we have 1 second left to go in this session. Tension really is starting to... Right now, Lolin Fox is back out on the track. He's got an open track in front of him as well. As he goes in towards the corkscrew, King there to give a bit of a run for his money. In all honesty, there's not that much separating them, just 3:10. As you see confirmation there, approximately 1 minute's time. Van Panther in P3, Stuntman Mike in 4th, P5 belongs to B1386 at the moment, with Asa in a very close P6, just 0.08 of a second away there. Again, further testifying as to how close this second really is, and how close this series is. The entire championship still belongs to a numerous amount of drivers, and going into an event like where you going to might spring out a surprise win. In it before, I'm sure you can see it again. That things aren't set in stone just because you qualify in pole. It doesn't mean you're going to win the race. And vice versa. Just because you start last doesn't mean you can't win the race. And as Ace O'Connor brings his car in towards the final corner, then this could be one of his final laps of the afternoon, depending how quickly he gets to that start-finish line. Little bit of traffic in front of him as well, in fact, there. So he's going to have to be very careful as he crosses the line. Oh, he goes third, and a big, big lap there for Ace O'Connor. Sets him on the second row of the grid. Right, Ace O'Connor. Do something similar. Still P2. Goes in towards the outer corner. He needs to get a little bit of a gain, but I think he's going to struggle now with not that far to go. Not quite. As he makes his way over the line. Will he get pole, or is it lonely? He is still staying second by 500, so less than a tenth of a second. A few more cars as well, trying to make their way to the end as King Dye gets that terribly pole and has to get into the pit lane and aborts the lap completely in the end, and sprinted as well just for good measure. And that brings us as an end to this qualifying session in the highest ranked Sim Raceway Evo race you'll see in 2013. We'll be back very shortly with the full race. Hello everybody and welcome back live to the Sim Raceway YouTube channel for another edition of the Evolution X December Championship 2013 in what has the highest strength of field that a Sim Raceway race has ever seen, with 5 Performance Driving Centre drivers racing here today. Let's see what happens. They all attack the Laguna Seca circuit, a track which drivers both love and at the same time. They hate to love it, they love to hate it. As they're down into the first corner in what could be the most crucial round of the championship today. Panda retains the inside line. The question is it going to be enough for him at the moment? Can Lolin Fox wrap it round the outside? Can Ater Acola maybe pit one after a late move in qualifying, bumping him up to 3rd position? The car's 4 wide, almost through there. I think Acer went a bit too deep. As now they make their way through the opening corners, just trying to get under that Bridgestone bridge as soon as possible and make sure actually they're all on the circuit. It's a very dusty line there, you can see on the curbs. Right in the heart of Monterey Bay here is the Laguna Seca. So the sand does tend to sweep across the circuit, making for some very distinguishable driving lines as Van Panda and Lolin Fox lead the way. Acer 3rd, then King Dio, Stuntman, Segadila, B13, then Ragster, P8, Litos 76, and Belinas as well. All of these drivers right now who are desperate to try and get themselves a little bit further forward when it comes towards this championship. And look at this, they're barely separated. It's been half a lap and they are still one massive organised train as they go into the corkscrew for the first time out of 14 here today. We'll go through nicely. Still no contact. Been a very strong start by all parties actually. So very impressed in all honesty by every single driver who's on track at the moment. Very clean, very tidy first lap as they make their way towards the final corner. As I said, that was a little bit of a skid mark there from, I think it must have been Belinas, but nothing to be too worried about. We've got 2 stragglers at the back there of Wild 7 and Mercier 88. Well, I don't think, again, there's anything to really contemplate worrying about. And as they start lap number 2, time started to fly here. We've still got a huge amount of distance left in this race. And you can tell the different driving styles with these Evos as well if you compare it to the Lotus 88B and how different the driving styles really are. The same drivers in some cases as well, and some of them really give it their all. We've got a car off there, King Dio. So a big incident there for him. And it will be so disappointed with that one. He's in a good spot in the championship as well, going into this round. But he should still get a bit of a run through the field. He's got a long race left, and with the field this tightly bunched, there's no reason why he can't push his way back through in a very short space of time. Well, there, in fact, by PA. Oh, he's drifting all over the... What a save! That is remarkable. Held on to that, going off the sand trap through turn 6 on the run up to the corkscrew, sideways through the entire gravel trap, kept it going, and he clobbers Litos. I spoke too soon from hero to villain in the space of what must be 0.3 seconds. PA captivates and then destroys the hearts of all the viewers right now, and they see that returning Belinas onto the circuit, who seemingly took damage there. Unfortunately for Belinas, that hasn't really gone well to him. I guess he must have been caught up in the action somewhere along the lines. Start out number 3, still the same name at the very front field. So it is still Van Panda in the lead of this race, then Lolin Fox, then Acer Acola, who still retains his 3rd position. And then Stuntman Mike in P4, Segadina still 5th, B13 still 6th. Could use a bit of a better result really. B13 hasn't been the most consistent driver you'll ever see in this Evo X Championship, but nonetheless he's done a very good job so far overall. And Ragster now really thoroughly catching B13 as well. It's going to be really interesting to see how that one plays out. Wait and see back as they all go through the corkscrew again. Still Van Panther leading the charge. As the cars start to kick their back ends out as they go to the bottom of the corkscrew. Wonderful to watch. But the field starting to really separate out now after 3 laps. They were tied together and King Dio almost lost the car again. Very lucky to retain control there. But still have a few more positions, which are hotly under contest at the moment. Lazarus and Wild 7, one of them. Lazarus, the late comer to this race. And on the inside there from Wild 7, he's done a nice job so far. Bolinas does well to hold on both of them. It's a nice 3-way battle there. Oh no, it's 3 wide into turn 1 if for 2 cars on the outside were a little bit quicker. Lazarus couldn't quite get it to stay, but goes to the inside, a late manoeuvre. I don't think that was planned. He goes way too deep, and they're almost 3 wide on the exit. They are 3 wide on the exit. Lazarus does well to just maintain his line, and somehow maintains a position as well. Now Wild 7 wants a bit of the action. He'd love to get past Bolinas. So now make their way in towards turn number 5 and 6. What a move that was for Lazarus. A real commanding move there. Lazarus, Linus and 1-7 the order of that 3-way battle at the moment, but another battle that's really starting to heat up is Segadila, B13 and Ragster. The 3 cars now separated by about 1.5 seconds as they come towards the end of lap number 4. So Ragster over the line. Let's compare his lap time then to maybe B13. A 141.6 to a 141.3, so he has lost a bit of time there. And a 141 flat from Segadila, so he's really pushing on. Stuntman Mike also catching Asa O'Connor as well. Both drivers who've experienced what it's like at the Performance Driving Centre. Having been to Sonoma at the Sim Raceway headquarters. And now retransferring their skills back into the sim to race here today in what, as we said before, is the highest ranked Sim Raceway event of the year here in 2013. It's come right at the climax, but all these 5 drivers, having been to the Performance Driving Centre, now taking board of the Mitsubishi Evos round Laguna Seca to see what they can do in the championship. And as Stuntman Mike gets close to Asa O'Connor, he's got to be very careful on the rear end as they go through the corkscrew right now. They're still side by side. Asa trying to sweep it round and hold on. Mike with a bit of a tap, but they still both don't want to give up their lines. And it could not be more fired up if you tried there. Absolutely insane stuff as Mike a little bit more of a carry through the final corner. Now looks to the outside before they go in towards turn number 1. Tries to loop it around the outside again. He's not going to get it through this time. He needs to try and duck it underneath. He does so. Asa O'Connor smells that one a mile away and is easily able to get himself positioned on the right hand side of the circuit where he can fend off the move for at least this lap. And we're approaching half race distance maybe now. A few more laps before we get to that all important 7th to 8th lap, and then you can start to see drivers really settle into their rhythms. Mike's going to be careful just as they run up to the corkscrew there. Almost lost the back of that car. It's all too easy to maybe lose control of it and maybe lose yourself in the focus almost. You try to attack the car in front of you. The two blue Evos force their way through the infamous corner as they come towards the end of lap number 6 from 14. And now they go once again. Maybe Stuntman might look to the inside. Not through the final corner. He's smarter than that. Especially when there's this much on the line as well. Let's just take a look. How much is on the line for Stuntman Mike right now as we take a look at the championship standings. And it is Stuntman Mike who, in all honesty, could do with a bit of a push. This is his debut in the series here today. Our race leader Van Panther, however, he's got himself quite a strong lead at the moment. It's 4th in the championship on 20 points, 18 behind the leader. So this will be his strongest result of the year. Lazarus out of the race. So Lazarus was the latecomer, now retired. Now what has happened there? So Lazarus must have been involved in some sort of incident. He's not quite made it to halfway. He was just off. But now the two cars battle once again. It easily is the closest battle on the circuit. Mike and Asa O'Connor, he's the most dominant pair as well. Mike really taking the fight to one of the all-time greats in Sim Raceway. Looks to the outside of the corkscrew once again. The two drivers have to be so careful now, especially slicing and dicing through that part of tarmac. That is a very dangerous bit of track to start dueling at. And Mike just not caring. He's being very aggressive. He wants to take everything today. He's going hard or he's going home, and it looks like to me like he's going in very hard. Taking no prisoners is the saying. And oh, Mike's off! And I spoke too soon. I said he may have got a bit too aggressive. He's down to 7th place, a hard shot in the wall. And now gets that car pointed back straight forward, but disappointment there for Stuntman Mike as he sinks down to 7th place. So right now he does have a lot of work to do if he wants to push back through that field and make an impact in this championship. We thought he could really take the fight to our one and only Asa O'Connor, but not quite yet. He wasn't quite ready for it yet. Only time will tell if he can force back through the field, but he's gone a bit wide through there as well. But Van Panther leads, and Nolin Fox, as we said. Then Asa's now 3rd from Sega Dealer, B13 and Ragster. That trio that we were watching earlier has actually separated up a little bit now, so they do have to be quite careful with that to make sure that they don't go through something similar again or they don't collide. Very punishing circuit, Laguna Seca. Yeah, you've got a lot of runoff areas, but they're all followed by a very hard barrier. And that barrier which can not only ruin a race, but can ruin a championship bid as well. And at this stage in the championship, we're over halfway now. They really do need to start thinking about what's at stake. Maybe driving a bit more conservatively, taking a leaf out of Van Panther's book, who's dictating the pace of this race without even thinking. So they'd start lap number 9 out of 14 then. Ragster goes over the line, and he's still 2.8 seconds away from B1386. Still has a little bit left to try and work with here. But let's take a look maybe on board with B1386, because this has been one of the key problems with these Evos. I say problems, I mean for me it's fantastic, it gives me a lot to talk about. But drafting in these cars that are designed for the road is not an easy task at all. And you can be given a huge, maybe a mile or 2 miles straight bit of tarmac, and you'd still struggle to overtake the car in front of you. And that's because these are not designed for the road. They're designed to be used on a real road, not on a racetrack. When you put them in this sort of environment, yes, they're exciting to watch, and it really does bring out some of the best that Sim Raceway has to offer. But it's still not there. It still does leave a lot to the driver. There are no assists like KERS or DRS like you'd see in a Formula 1 car. It all comes down to the driver making the most of what he has in front of him. As a whole, you've got to go for it. If there isn't one, you have to make one. If you want to make it big here in the Sim Raceway Evolution X Championship for December in 2013. So we're going to take a look, actually a bit of a battle going on a bit further down the field. A nice, another triple battle again there. Wild 7, PA and King Dyer. That's over 8th, 9th and 10th at the moment as the drivers start their 10th lap out of 14 today. Wild 7 looking very aggressive, and the man who currently, when it comes to the championship, doesn't sit too positively. He's all the way down there. Wild 7, so P10 at the moment during the race, but when it comes to the championship, I say he hasn't done very well. What I mean is, I was looking at the wrong screen there. He's currently second in the championship, but compared to Shadow Bounty, he's still 10 points adrift, so needs a big race today. So whilst he's done fantastically in the opening rounds, his form slipped a little this round. He needs a big result, and that is a big ask as well, especially at a track like this where passing is as difficult as this anyway. We'll see what he can do in the later stages, but it doesn't look to me like he's going to make that much of a dent in that 10-point threshold that Shadow Bounty has at the moment. And let's just wait and see if Wild 7 goes for a move through here. No, he doesn't. He's very sensible not to as well, but he did go a little bit deep. And maybe now Bolinas as well has a bit of a chance. If he can just keep his car on the track, you never know what happened. I think Wow's way right there for PA. That was very, very out of shape indeed. But that was so far out of shape, I thought he was going to try and enter the pit lane. And now as they make it through turn 1 once again, lap 11 of 14, 4 laps to go then. Here in the third round of the championship. The last round taking place at Watkins Glen, of course. PA needs a big result here today, as does Wild 7 though. Question is, who wants it more? Wild 7 goes a bit deep. Going to try and use it to cut back, but he just can't quite get there in time. And he's gone wide again now, and that's surely going to allow Wild 7 to attack again. He just can't quite get the momentum he needs. He's doing everything he can. He's attacking every corner. He's finally got along the inside. Mr. PA does sort of hold back though. He's not really going to fight for anything he can't win. Maintains the inside line to try and drive up the hill. Very smart driving indeed. After we thought he yielded, he can't quite get the move back underway. And he doesn't want to tap the back end of Wild 7 through there. Very dangerous corner. In fact, PA's already been through there once sideways today. He doesn't want to go through there again. And a big lock-up as well into the corkscrew. He's got to be very careful about his current car placement if he wants to try and get that position back. So especially when you take a look at the standings as well then. Van Panda, Lolin Fox, Acer Acola, Sagadila, B13, Ragster, Stuntman Mike, King Dio, Wild 7, then PA just behind them, Bolinas, Litos, and out of the race is Lazarus as well. So Litos and Lazarus are 2 retirements so far, with Mercia as well actually. Did not complete a single lap there in Mercia 88. So his race was over really before it even started, unfortunately. But talk of the man up front, he's now has a 3.9 second lead. And yes, it doesn't sound like a lot when you compare it to something you'd see in a Lotus 88B race. But when you consider how difficult it is to pull away from an opponent in these cars, you have to appreciate how fast Van Panther is right now. That is an incredible statistic that really is going to shake up a lot of interest. I think the most important thing right now is going to be for Van Panther just to not yield to any pressure. He's got 4 seconds. He does not need to do anything stupid or try anything stupid. He's got the whole world in front of him right now and potentially winning the series. So why not just cruise it to the line now? 2 more laps to go as Van Panther sets a 140.116, which I believe is scarily close to his actual qualifying time. So, a quick penultimate lap update on where the current real intense battles are. We've still got that Wild 7 and PA battle with the rest of the drivers kind of filtered out across the entire circuit right now. The B13 and Sega Dealer battles also come to a little bit of a halt, it seems. We'll wait and see if that changes in towards the final 2 laps, but B13 really hasn't been able to put the alternate pressure on Sega Dealer, who's seen off everything that's come at him today. He's just allowed, I think, too much space when it's coming to the inside line defending. B13 can't get alongside. They're giving up. Maybe just a lot of time as well, because Raxter's only 3.2 seconds behind these guys now. As Raxter does a bit of a drift through there, as does B13. Which is great to watch, but you've got to wonder how much longer can these guys stay this close without coming into a battle? Or how long really can Sega just deal with this pressure without making an error? The entire time you've got a car following you, your rear bumper, you're a second behind each time. Lap after lap after lap, someone's stalking you, looking down your neck, just really starting to breathe heavy. Can you yield it? Can you just drive normally? Would you drive the race you normally would, or do you change and go defensive into the final lap? It's all going to become clear very, very shortly as both cars get ready to cross the line. So into the final lap we go then, which means I think really it's crunch time for some of these drivers, maybe even for Van Panther, who's now 4.7 in front of Lolin Fox. So a stupendous start then, and a stupendous end is going to be again another driver that has not really shown any sign of remorse. They've got in front and they've not looked back. And don't forget as well, going into next week, Van Panther's going to have a big advantage. And next week is the final round at the in this Donington series, as you will, the support championship for it, which is the Mitsubishi Evolution X Championship, one which goes around the world, seeing the finest circuits, Laguna Seca being one, Donington another, Watkins Glen a third, and the fourth. We're going home, ladies and gentlemen. Sonoma Raceway next Sunday. This time we'll play host to the final round of the Evolution X Championship. Question is, who's going to be your winner of the series? Van Panther may win the race, but when it comes to the actual championship, it could still be a Wild 7 or a Shadow Bounty that's in front, with all 3 protagonists not having particularly strong races here today. Van Panther goes across the line. Is there a new threat in town? Let's find out. It's a win for Van Panther as he asserts himself among the greats here at the Evolution X Championship before returning to Sonoma for the next round. So Lolin Fox is P2, good strong result there. Asa Acola, very quiet performance there, but you know what, quiet is consistent. Third place, no one to bother him, no one to bother, and he took home third, no questions asked. Strong result from one of the best. Sega Dealer and B13 did get close in the end, but it ended with Sega Dealer in front in 4th and 5th. Ragster P6, Stuntman Mike 7th, King Dio in 8th, 9th will be Wild 7 in front of Mr. PA. Both of those guys who are 2nd and 3rd in the championship currently. Not a good race for either party there. They really need to step it up in the final race. It's going to be a very big climax, I think, is the only word for it. We had some underdogs come through today, some big names drop out, which means it all comes down to Sonoma as to who is the Evolution X champion. We'll be right back with you with round 3 round two, I beg your pardon, of the Sim Raceway Donington Championships. And you really don't want to wait for these as well. The Lotus 88B returns to your screens with the higher skill quant of the two. So we've seen 500 to 900. Now let's see the best of the best. We'll be back very shortly. Not a good race for either party. You need to step it up in the final. Hello everybody and welcome to qualifying for the penultimate race of the night in the Sim Raceway Donington Championship. We are almost at the climax of your racing for this Sunday evening, right here just 2 days before Christmas Eve. The question is, which driver is going to have the perfect Christmas present out of a pole position and possibly a victory going into the final round of the championship very soon. But the question is, so who's it going to be? We've already seen some very impressive performances earlier on with the Lotus 88B, but now it all comes down to this. We've seen some pretty intense stuff as well over the past couple of weeks. We've seen Donington really take a shine to those BMWs, and just 1 week ago in round number 1, the standings after that were pretty impressive. It was Master Rocco in the B race to me that personally stood out, but when you get towards that B race, the one which you're spectating now, it was Mr. Jones 83 that took the pole position. But when it came to the race, it was Daniel C that won. It was AZ Best in second. That actually gave him Mr. Jones, El Nino, and Arceo 72, all doing impressive performances inside the top 6. Question is, though, as we went into week number 2, this is the Lotus 88B. This is a completely different beast to the BMW E92 GT, and we've got a completely different guy who's looking at the top of the timesheets at the moment as well. It's Severio that's looking on top of his game at the moment. 118.485 sees him right at the top of the timesheets there, with John Daniels on a 118.636 just behind. Smiler 68 joins him in third, with the Magico rounding out your top 4, then the Flow in P5. And in P6 is Fregel, as we said, then the Flow moved up. Luke Sky 80 in P7, Mad Max in 8th, 9th is Mr. PA, 10th RT Metz, 11th Ragstar, I beg your pardon, sorry, Mike had a bit of a glitch there. Laradich in P12 and Vasquez in P13. So as to say, when you take a look at what really is on offer today, Daniel C, AZ Best, 2 drivers who really do need to get a strong performance in. You haven't really done as much as they could when it comes to this race. We've got a couple of drivers missing as well. John Daniels, who only took 5 points last race and came second to last, currently 12th overall, is now qualified second. So this could be the winds of change blowing. We've still got 2 more races left to go. So providing he can get maybe a good run, there's no reason why he can't maybe compete for a top 3 spot at all. With Baxagame still there, Mr. Jones will still be there, Arceo, Kozielek, those drivers will still be looking to get as much as they can out of this session. But there's a lot of new faces as well. The only real constant there is going to be John. I think in all honesty, it's a couple other drivers there that are also inside the championship hunt at the moment. But the real aim here is to get as many points as possible. And if you haven't entered the championship already, like a lot of these drivers have, having just picked up the 88B because it's a new car, why not? Why not maybe go in balls deep? But what that's going to mean is that John Daniels, who's currently on 5 points, will have a 5-point advantage. He's currently P3 after being knocked down by Smiler, who takes pole position with a 118.425. So John with a 5-point advantage, which could be very dividend come the end of the session. Is this going to work for him though? Can he perform at a very top level and hold his own up there? Yes, he's improved over the last few months we've seen him race, and yes, he has overcome a lot in terms of his racing profanities, but is this going to be enough to get him some big points? Are we going to see him climb to the top of the standings here? And maybe, just maybe, see him with a chance of winning those British Touring Car 2014 tickets to Donington Park. So 1 minute 29 left then, crunch time for a lot of these drivers. John Daniels, surprisingly, as we were just talking about him, Hello everybody and welcome back live to the Sim Raceway Sunday race-off. Here we go then, we have those 4 red lights. Severio took pole, will he take the win? 16 laps lie in front of us here at Donington Park once again. Let's wait and find out. Away we go, big start there by Smiler on the outside as the Magico pulls to the inside line. Big defensive move there by Severio though, not letting any car through at all. We've got one off in the background, that's Mad Max, who didn't get off to a good start. As they make their way now through the Craner curves, John Daniels still retains 4 though, off in the background there, almost lost control. Was the flow, luckily he flowed, if you pardon the pun, back into a good line. But as the cars make their way for the first time now up through in towards the McLean hairpin, we've got trouble at the back of the pack. And that's Laradrich has had a bit of an off. He gets the car back on circuit, but unfortunately his race has not started the way he intended to. And you should take a look at the Magico now. Smiler and then John Daniels still P4. Then Vasquez holding that 5th place strong. It's a very tight 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th battle that we've got now. DiMagico on the inside as Smiler tries to retain it, but he's not going to be able to hold on. DiMagico takes it. Now watch out for Daniels to come back. And Smiler almost clipping that rear end. That was almost a kiss of death, wasn't it? Daniels gets a lovely run coming off of Goddard's. And then in towards Redgate once again. Looks to the inside. Textbook stuff so far. Smiler's really sweeping that one round there. Not letting anyone through. Through the Craner curves again. And back through Hollywood for a lot of the field now as they start their 2nd lap out of 16. In what really looks like a sprint, these cars are flying round. Daniels knows what's at stake here. This is a perfect opportunity up into 3rd. Oh, he's messed it up completely. And spears off into the gravel trap. There was contact as well. And his race may have just slipped from his grasp. He's down to P9 now. But now behind RT Metz as well. That has just not worked out well at all. So PA and Ragster. And now the next car's on the hit list, so maybe get into a bit of a duel here. Through the chicane they go. Very nice and easy so far. You got the flow up into P5 there, but the main battle is in the crux of that midfield as Severio pulls away at the front. 1.7 seconds now, in fact. Already, so after just one lap, he really is making mincemeat of the field. Great start. Really good, strong start from our pole sitter. Done exactly like those that before him today. And looking to continue that trend as well. Let's find out maybe, let's see, who's going to be the king of the track, essentially. King of Donington Park come the end of this race. But right now, Severio keeps extending. 2.3 seconds. And they're already splitting up there. You can see DiMagico, Vasquez and Frego have got their own little battle going on. Then the Ragster Wagon, followed by P8, Daniels and RT Metz there. So Daniels does still have a shot to get himself back into the top 5 with the field bunched up this close. And Ragster goes off as well. That's going to help matters, but unfortunately for Ragster, that's not going to help him at all. He rejoins the circuit, but look at the side-by-side action into the chicane. Daniels on PA. Recovery drive gone well so far. He's got himself back up to 6th. PA still on the assault charge though. As he looks to try and go back through the Melbourne hairpin. Not going to work through there. Also going to Goddard's either. Frego and Vasquez, that's right at the back of the field there. Frego actually moving out of the way for lap cars. So Frego unfortunately a lap down there as I believe he starts his 4th lap. No, that's not, I beg your pardon, that was a bit of a timing issue on my screen it seems. Yeah, real apologies for that one. It is Vasquez that's still 3rd. Frego is still 4th and right behind him. There was an error of mine saying he was down in 13th, which is really not true. He's only 4th and only 6.9 tenths away as well. Really in a big position here to try and get some big points. Up to the top again, and the car that was so famously driven by Nigel Mansell being represented here by some of the finest drivers sim race has to offer. And Smiler almost with a big moment there. The man who was previously up right at the top of the field, I believe he qualified in 2nd, knocking Daniels down to P3, and now it's a big moment there for Frego as he goes through the chicane as well. Got a bit of air in fact. Frego goes a bit deep as well, trying to catch Vasquez. That's not really where he needs to be right now. But DiMagico not doing too badly at all. We take a look at what PA and Metz are doing. Those guys are still side by side. Almost as they go in towards Goddard's once again. PA going to try and hold the inside line. Into turn 1, PA's gone very wide indeed. He's able to cut back across. And you take a look at what's going on behind there with Mad Max. This is going to be the real issue now for our teammates. Can Mad Max go through, or is Max going to hold on? He holds on through the old hairpin, and as they make their way now under Starkey's bridge, you've really got to think this trio could be easily the most explosive on the circuit right now. As right now, Max needs to try and get something going on Metz. The smile has dropped off dramatically over the past couple of moments. In towards the chicane they go again. Metz does not make any mistakes there whatsoever. Into Melbourne hairpin again. Metz doing a very good job on the inside line there. Through the final corner, and oh, he's gone off, and he has exactly this Lotus car. The Lotus ATV is so renowned. There is so much oversteer from it, and it will catch even the best of drivers. Oh, that's a big push by PA. Big push. Pushes Metz into the gravel, and that was almost like a bully push. At the top side of the racetrack, very reminiscent of what happened with Michael Schumacher at Hungary in 2009, I believe. And now it's a big trying to get second. I don't know if there's any repercussions due to that or no. But at the moment, I think right now the main issue for him is going to be just not letting it affect him and get it back underway, because we still have a whopping 11 laps left of racing to go, and DiMaggio's second place now could be coming back under pressure. And he is indeed, isn't he? He's got Frego right there as well. It's becoming a three-way battle for second place now. Into turn number one, through red gate. Vasquez getting a lot closer. You're almost using DiMaggio tries to pull himself away from Frego, so the hunted, becoming the hunter in a very small space of time. As they make their way through the craning curve once again, lap 7 of 16. Vasquez almost had a little run there. DiMaggio car down to go through McLean's, and as they make their way back onto the old straight again, where that Dunlop bridge used to be. Look what Vasquez has got planned into the chicane. He's run out of road, and you could almost sense he had thinking about moving around the outside there. Nice control of the car, sees it, make sure he does not lose any speed or time to DiMaggio. Oh, it's all gone wrong. And he just lobbed the brakes up. Not much he could do from there. Hit the back of him. And luckily for the man in second, DiMaggio gets on very lightly, but for poor old Vasquez, his race for second has been primarily put to a halt. You never know, he might be able to get back underway. He's only a few seconds behind. He hasn't actually lost his position. He's got John Daniels tucked up under a 2-second cushion there, back in P5, so we've still got a lot to work for. As we said, it really does have to be acknowledged that John Daniels really has matured as a racing driver over these past few months. Now holding P5, doing consistent times. 2 seconds now back to Mad Max 66, 2.7 just behind Vasquez. And, you know, his pace has improved naturally as a racer does. He invested in a racing wheel a few months ago. I remember telling me about how determined he was to make it here in Silverstone, become a top driver and really put in the time and man hours after discovering how much a wheel can help with driving, and it's paying off. Look, you compare this sort of race to the one he had a few months ago, and you would notice a completely different driver in that toughest game. So who knows, he could very well next be the ace of collar of this skill quad. We'll have to wait and see, but for now he's just going to try and do a solid job in his 5th position. Nice battle behind him though, Mad Max, The Flow and Smiler 68 for 6th, 7th and Tyler makes his way. Lap 9 of 16 then, we've got 8 to go. So we call it a day here, 11 minutes of racing gone now. And you're looking, it's about halfway perhaps in this race. So about a 20-minute race for these drivers here today. But the main issue being really how much of a gap can Savario pull out, because he's now 6.1 seconds in front. DiMagico still being caught by Fregel. Despite Fregel and Vasquez's little tangle earlier on, the two drivers still almost inseparable now, as he starts to reel him in at quite an alarming rate now. The race leader may not have that dominant sphere he had earlier on. He's getting a little bit tiresome out there, it seems. So what can Savario do? The answer is, oh, I'm at 18.7. Let's see what DiMagico and Fregel can do in response. So it's a 118.7, a 119.0, and a 118. Let's take a look at Fregel again. Timing seems glitched now today. It's not really liking me, but a 118.3 from Vasquez. So he really is starting to catch a 118.5 there from Fregel. So the two drivers of Vasquez and Fregel are not only catching DiMagico, but starting to slowly creep up the backstairs on our race leader. Let's just wait and see what Fregel can do then as they make their way through McLean's again. In all honesty, at the moment, it's got to come down to sheer consistency. It's not about aggression or anything. You can be as aggressive as you want on this Donington circuit. It's only going to end in misery, we fear, as it really is one of the most challenging circuits that the United Kingdom has to offer, up there with the likes of Silverstone and such. And I prefer this circuit in almost every single way. It really is more of a driver's circuit, one that is demanding, one that really does have breathtaking corners. The sheer elevation changes is something that Silverstone does lack to an extent. So to see Donington really excel where you have the crane of curves, you accelerate up the hill, you go down in towards the Melbourne hairpin, it does offer a lot. So we'll see what the drivers can do with this though, as time starts to become the essence, especially as we've only got about 6 laps to go now. So if you want to make a move, you want to do it now and get yourself a gap, and Fregel's really feeling that as he starts to reel him in. So Fregel and DiMagico then, this is going to be the battle that I think really predominantly captures our attention for the rest of this race. Down the start-finish straight they go then. We have 5 laps left of racing technically to go. Fregel to the inside of Redgate, and that gets frantically shut. The most difficult corners to overtake on this circuit of all of them. And now through the crane of curves before heading into the old hairpin. Fregel is mirroring his every move. It is like watching a pair of figure skaters out there right now. Fregel is doing exactly what he has to do to stay in DiMagico's slipstream, to stay within him. The disadvantage is he does get that dirty air. He's going to start losing a little bit of time in the draft and everything like that. The grip will start to go as the downforce starts to leave the car and be replaced with hot, dirty air. We'll wait and see what Fregel can do though, as he's resting in those dirty fumes, exhausted by DiMagico's car. So down in towards the Melbourne hairpin once again. Fregel very late braking there. DiMagico turned at the exact right time. Or that again would have been inevitable contact. Oh, more ironic as well. It's the same corner where Fraggle took a nudge to the rear end before. So they start lap number 13. 4 laps remaining, and you can almost sense drivers almost separable as Severio is now 10.2 seconds away. Really got this race wrapped up nice and tightly. Drivers who really have, they kind of stood out to me today. Been two of the most consistent on the field of starting to get a lot closer. The battle behind them between Vasquez and John Daniels is improving as well. Daniels is out of nowhere caught Vasquez. Let's take a look at this quickly. The two go side by side. The Magico and Fraggle finally gets a run on in towards Melbourne hairpin right now. A late braking maneuver. He goes deep and the back end swings out. And the Magico is able to sweep right back underneath. I think that was from him, and Daniels has spun. Oh, it seems that Old Ghost still haunt John Daniels, and he gets a nudge as well from Smiler to put him back in the right direction. But Old Ghosts are still haunting the mansion that John Daniels lived in. It seems. That's to the inside again, and that could be another error. No, he's trying too hard there. A good race, unfortunately cut short again. But we've got to keep an eye on that battle between the drivers right at the front, the Magico and Fraggle. They go through the straight curves now. 5 billion running out. Only got a number of laps left. And now you can just feel that Fraggle is just eyeing up a manoeuvre at some point. He can't be that far away at all, can he? Down in towards the chicane again, and he's just really biding his time now, it looks like. He doesn't want to waste any opportunities or anything like that. He's getting closer and closer. And this is a corner where he almost made it stick last time if it wasn't for that back end stepping out of shape. But not quite this time. The Magico has got it all sealed away. So the Magico, in all honesty, may not even have 4th place committed because Vasquez, again, is catching these guys an alarming rate. 1.1 seconds. It's a 2 away. It's allowing Vasquez to pick up chunks of ice. It's like having an ice block that's already melting, taking a sledgehammer to it, and that is exactly what's happened to the Magico's time. It is just melting away. There's nothing you can do to stop it. The higher the sun gets, the more it melts, and that's exactly what's happening to his race lead right now that he has over Fraggle and Vasquez, the two drivers that have already seen plenty of drama here today. May just see a little bit more before the race closes out. Going towards the Melbourne hairpin once again with the Magico still leading the trio at this stage. So the Magico and Fraggle still the arch rivalries of this race, I think it has to be said. And also, good issue there for the Magico, but it's not going to affect him. One more lap to go. This is it, do or die essentially now then. The championship well up for grabs. John Daniel, who had a 5-point advantage going into this race due to the majority of drivers not actually currently entered in race number 1, is really going to allow for these drivers to make an impact now. If they can get a win like Severio, they're right in the hunt. They've tied with the championship leader, and it is anyone's championship going into the final round next weekend. And you know what comes next weekend as well? Donington Park and the most iconic car of Sim Raceway, the car of the year, the Mazda 787, with a championship on the line where it's truly anyone's race. A pair of BTC seat tickets are on the line, and that pair may just go. So right now, Scenario has driven a faultless race from pole position. Oh, he spun it! No way! The tables have turned upside down. Can he kick it back round before the race is over? He's on the grass. And out of nowhere, an alien error from our race leader who's had all 16 laps here today. The cars are catching him. I don't get there. Severio does get it on Goddard, and he does get it across the finish line. Under intense circumstances, the Magico and Fraggle as well just can't get it off. The Magico gets second. Third place is going to go to Fraggle. Great racing between the pair there. Utter respect between the two drivers. Vasquez fourth, Mad Max P5, sixth Smiler, seventh John Daniels, a lonely seventh after what could have been a podium early on. Eighth the P8, ninth the Flow, 10th is RT Metz, 11th Lara Dritcher, falling start. Recovered quite well. Rags to P12, and they round out your runners for today's race. But what an emphatic finish that was. Definitely a heart in the mouth moment for a race winner, Severio. But due to the fact that the leader of this championship is currently not in the championship, what it means is then that going into the final round, there is a tie on points. It's going to be anyone's race, guys. The 787 returns to Donington next week, but for now, we've got one final race coming up for you with the Lotus 88Bs. They return to Donington Park very shortly to bring you your climax of Sim Raceway action for this Sunday evening. The last Sunday race off, essentially, as I say, race off very loosely, before Christmas. We'll be right back with you with the final race of the Donington Championship. You return to Donington with the Lotus 88Bs for the final qualifying session of the evening as the top championship takes to the circuit for round 2 of the Donington Championship, the penultimate round in their 3-round series, headed right here in December, right in one of the, well, in my opinion, one of Britain's greatest motorsport circuits to offer, along with Snetterton, Brantage and Silverstone. This one really is a true masterpiece of design and will live on for generations to come. My name's Ian Jenkins and I'll call all of the action for you over the next hour or so as we get set for what could be one of the most intriguing races of the night. We've already seen a shock going into the previous race as the leader, after all 16 laps, spun at the Melbourne hairpin, the penultimate corner on the Donington circuit, and was able to recover and still record the victory, which is what mattered in the end. It's all about getting those wins, getting that vital points, because when it comes towards the final round of the championship, the last thing you want to do is be sat there thinking, I need to win if I want to win these tickets. And if you're not sure what the prize is, 2 tickets to the British Touring Car race held at the circuit in 2014. So going into if you're going into the final few moments of qualifying, then we've got 7 minutes and 46 seconds left on the clock. And as we take a look at almost the pre-quali here and just trying to see who qualified where, it's really intriguing in all honesty, because next week we have the 787 as well. They're trying to see who the best tin top drivers are and who the best open wheeler drivers are. Taking that and seeing who kind of takes the best overall, but it really it's a case of who's kind of the best all-rounded driver. But let's take a look at the standings then after the A race in the 900 to 1100 skill point last time round. It was Shadow Bounty that took all 70 points last time, with Michigan in second. Griffey in third took 62, Lounger in fourth took 58, Van Panther took 50. And then Sean 24, Jamie 1, Asa O'Collar take 38, Exvarti 34, Mepde Bandito, AGO 6, and then Graufundel as well, who took 24. So all 14 drivers. Take a look at the drivers that are in it at the moment. Then we got a newcomer in T-Bolt and PMMS. The rest of the drivers though, Shadow Bounty, Mepde, Lounger, Exvarti, Strogafia makes his return, Asa O'Collar, Bandito, AGO 6, Stuntman, Baxagaber, and Jamie 1. Now, we've seen, in all honesty, I think this is Asa O'Collar's almost heaven racetrack, isn't it, right now? It's at Donington Park in an open wheeler. Now, we've seen him dominate sports cars, we've seen him dominate the Evos, but where we really see him shine, I honestly think, is when you put him in the old school F1 cars. When we saw him in James Hunt's Formula 1 car, when we saw him in Ayrton Senna's MP44, when you see him in that first ever event at the Circuit of the America over a year ago now, in that McLaren MP427, that was when he dominated. That was when he ripped the field to shreds. And this is where I think a certain Mr. Asa O'Collar could very well shine today. Currently sits in P7, only 6/10 of a second off the lead though, as he comes across the line to end lap number 3. Let's see if he improves or not. And no, he will start his second final lap of the day now then, so we'll get a proper update after this. So Shadow Bounty that leads at this stage in the qualifying session. So it's Jamie 1 in P6 at the moment, just in front of Acer Acola. Not too far at all beyond Strogafia. Lounger P4. And Varty's only 8 thousandths of a second in front of Lounger at this stage. So very tense times indeed. 4 minutes 55 left of qualifying. The drivers have done about 3 to 4 laps at the moment. The most done by any driver is 4. And in fact, the entire top 5 have now done 4 laps. So when you take a look at some of the drivers that really have captained this Team Lotus 88B to victory, drivers such as Nigel Mansell and Elio De Angelis, who really have done some incredible things with the car as well. They reported it allegedly as pleasing to drive from responses with the aerodynamic loads very manageable, but when you try and think about it in the shape of the car, for the time I'm sure it was, but nowadays it looks like a beast and it looks like it's going to be a lion to tame, and not many of these drivers are going to be able to tame it fully and have it completely under their control. Just like Severio proved to that in the last race, spinning at that very corner where PMMS just went through previously, that no driver is untouchable. Everyone makes mistakes, and with a car so prone to oversteer, it's definitely possible that we could very well see some shock results. So taking a look quickly at the standings then, and going through the top 5, Shadow, Stunman, Mike, Nepte, Acer Acola and Strogafia are the top 5 at the moment. You look at the top 5 in the championship standings. Shadow Bounty, Michigan, Grivy, Lounger, Strogafia. Only 2 names repeal the same there, those Shadow Bounty and Strogafia. 1st and 5th in the session, 1st and 5th in the championship. It seems like a coincidence to me, but what if that trend continues and Shadow Bounty may be on set to get 2 race wins in a row and 140 out of 140 points, and then well on his way to really taking that championship and making it his. Meaning that a man, so let's say for instance, in order for this to go wrong, Michigan would need to come in, take 2nd position to double his point score to get 112, and then win the race while Shadow Bounty finishes 4th, I believe, in order for Michigan to win the championship. So Shadow Bounty, if things stay as they are and that order continues during the race, then Shadow Bounty has been a very strong presence and may be on his way to Britain at some point next year for those Donington tickets to watch the British Touring Car Championship. So 2 minutes 12 seconds left then. Repte about 4 tenths away from our current pole sitter as well. That is very interesting. Oh, that's a very dominant session indeed. Lounger goes P4 now then. So Lounger out of nowhere puts everyone down a level. One minute 48 seconds is crunch time now, and Acer Acola, I said he'd shot and he just nipped into 2nd position there. A 1:17.207, and that is a beast of a time, that's for sure. I said that these old school Formula 1 cars are where he shines. The history of the McLarens is very strong in him. The MP44, the MP4 P27, James Hunt's McLaren also. He has done exceedingly well. Even the McLaren, the McLaren Le Mans car they use, it is such a dominant car. We'll see what he can do as time goes on. So 1 minute left in the session, and Shadow Bounty just has about a 10th of a lead over Acer Acola at this stage, and that is by no means a comfort zone. They need to really find something sooner rather than later, because it's going to get to the stage where this could be their final attempt. I suppose you're just going to have to wait and see how things pan out. There could very well be a late twist in the tail. "24 seconds left in the session. Both leaders out on the circuit at the moment. Acer Acola's out. Shadow Bounty's out. In fact, Shadow Bounty's going towards the end of his lap. So let's maybe just watch this one then from the final few moments. So down into the Melbourne hairpin they go. J-Mood getting into a bit of traffic there with T-Bolt, it seems. T-Bolt reluctant to let him go, and that's not going to help our current pole sitter either. He's got 2.4 tenths of a second now in front of Asa Acola. He's just going to extend on there. I think he's caught traffic at a very unfortunate time. He crosses the line now. Does he improve his time? Yes, he does. 3.7 tenths to beat. What can the Maestro do? Down in towards the Melbourne hairpin he goes. Mepday in a surprising P3, looking to get his championship bid back underway. Asa now goes in towards Goddard's for the final time in this qualifying session. Will this be enough to take the pole? He needs 3.5 tenths. He goes across the line. Oh, and he takes 2 away, gets within a tenth. And a shadow bounty didn't previously improve. That would have been pole. But the championship leader is on pole position. We'll be back very shortly with the full race. Hello everybody and welcome to the final race then in your Sim Raceway Sunday race-off. 24 laps behold us at the Donington Park circuit here in the UK. But it's Shadow Bounty, the championship leader, 70 points last race, a pole position now. Acer Akula sits next to him. Is this fate? Let's find out. Shadow Bounty with a big start off the line. Acer trying to go to the outside, maybe wrap one round the outside of Redgate corner. Can't quite get it off, and again, same pattern as last time. We've got Lounger off this time though, so it takes AGO6 off in the background as well. And already the field separated into two halves as they make their way through the crane and curve. Shadow Bounty looking already like he is really running away. He's in some sort of dog chase. Varty and Strog there by about 0.7 of a second already. A lot of stop and goes being handed out. I'm sure they're going to get revoked, but even so, mostly a consistent opening lap by the rest of the field so far as they make their way up through McLean's. Let's just find out if anyone else is going to maybe make an error. It's been pretty straightforward. Only two cars have suffered, and that's Lounger and AGO. Bandito at the back there with Mepday trying to go to the inside. Thinks better of it. But Shadow Bounty already there, 0.6 of a second away from Acer, so really starting to hammer down already off the line. Start as you mean to go on is the saying, and I'm sure that's being echoing through the mind of Shadow Bounty again and again and again as he comes towards the end of the first lap now in the lead of the race. I'm sure that's exactly how I wanted to start it. Let's see if he can continue then. Over the line he goes, 0.8 of a second as the rest of the field follows suit, and that's a hungry pack of wolves it looks like, doesn't it? Charging down through Redgate corner, one after the other. What a prime viewing spot that would be for the winning race, or maybe even the crane of curves would be an even better one just to see them all at high speed cut through there. Really is something magnificent as they hit through the old hairpin, and you would not love a better grandstand like there, would you? Still no retirements as of yet. On to number 2, and Xvarty spins up. Commentators cursed it again. Xvarty into the gravel trap, and he luckily gets the car back on the tarmac again, and a quick pirouette sees him shoot down to 13th position, which is not where he wants to be, especially when you consider his championship position at the moment. He was 10th last time round with 34 points. He's now 13th in the race, and it seems that those championship hopes are slowly fading away quicker than you might like. T-Bar at the inside of Baxter. Gaber! Baxo slams the door. Stuntman Mike! Anything, hold on to the back of Shadow Bounty. Shadow Bounty right now does have a 1.3 second lead over his nearest competitor, who is of course Acer Akula. Acer, who finished in a lonely, what can maybe described as only 9th position last time, just in front of Xvarty if I remember rightly. The two drivers who have been very dominant in recent months, starting to maybe lose their sparkle a bit. They need to try and push it the limits right now. We'll see what they can do. We'll see if they can improve more than anything else. We are used to seeing them really fly, really take flight. Let's just see how this race pans out. So as the rest of the field cross the line then to end lap number 3 of 24 and start their 4th encounter of the Donington Park circuit today. It is still Shadow Bounty that leads, still only 1.4 as well. It hasn't exactly gone up by much since last time we checked. Strong Atheist still a strong presence in 3rd, Jamie in 4th, and PMMS in 5th, back to Gaber 6th, 7th Stuntman Mike, 8th is Sean 24, Mepte 9th, T-Bolt, Bandito, Lounger, Xvarty, AGO 6th. And that rounds out your runners for today's race so far. So AGO 6 now 23 seconds off the leader already, but the main crux of this race is being fought out in the midfield, and Acer Akula's off! Acer Akula, the main protagonist in this race, Emmanuel second, has been the car And that is coming out of McLean's, I believe, before going into Coppice. Very easy to do, but the car is just sat there. Is that a certain retirement? I'm going to wait for confirmation. 806 goes past. The man who's already raced in the Evos tonight, he's kind of been all over the place. He cannot get enough of this race in action. He had a good 20-minute battle in the Mitsubishi Evos, one of the 5 drivers competing who've been to the Sonoma Performance Driving Centre. So a really big factor in that championship indeed in the December, the Evo X Championship. But Asa O'Connor, one of the most talented drivers, soon to make that offer again. In the travel trap, not where he wants to be at all. I think that could very well be a retirement. Bit of action there for P5 as Stuntman Mike looks at back to Gaber now and tries to gain a position. He can't quite get it done through there. And as the cars try to make their way through Hollywood, we'll wait and see how things pan out. But in all honesty, right now, these cars are so close. They need to maybe just take a breather. It's only lap 5. We've got another... As Asa O'Connor is officially retired from the race and left the game, so we'll be spectating the rest of the race from the paddock. But look at that big train now that is seemingly unfolded in the last few moments or so. As they'll make their way down in towards Melbourne Hairpin, there's a long line of cars there, all trying to make their way through. And again, another great viewing point of the Donington circuit as they go back in towards Main Straight, and it's all stringing back from PMMS, who's gone very wide into Goddard's. So from 4th downwards, it's now become the PMMS party, essentially. We've got the rest of the field from 4th slowly stacking up. T-Bolt and Bandito there doing a little bit of battle into Redgate, but nothing comes of it. Look at that quartet as well. It's from 10th downwards, and T-Bolt trying to hold on, but they're all catching. Sean almost lost control of the car there, was lucky not to. Now the train's almost segregated out again, but PMMS still under a lot of pressure. The thing is, one touch mistake from anyone, 4th downwards, can see them plummet to the bottom of the field faster than you can say Donington Park. So another bit of a duel as well in there. It's P5 Stuntman Mike back to Gaber. Mike holding on nicely. It's also building out to Pepper as well. But that is an extraordinary train in the headline race of the night. Into the line again goes Shadow Bounty. He makes his way through Redgate and into Hollywood as he starts lap number 7 of 24. So already that's starting to stack up, and you're really starting to lose count of them here as he gets so lost in the moment as to how well these guys are performing out there. So Stuntman Mike P5, Baxo P6, 7th Mepday, 8th Shaw, 9th Bandito. Bit of a moment there. T-Bolt tried to capitalise. To no avail, he still has to sit behind, unfortunately. So there goes Strog, there goes Jamie. But PMMS, who's still got that extraordinary train of cars behind him. So 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th. All within just a few seconds of each other. That is truly extraordinary. As they make their way down in towards the hairpin one more time. More importantly, make their way out of it. Through that they go at the moment. In towards Goddard's once again. PMMS under a lot of pressure there from Stuntman Mike, who's really started hounding him down, hasn't he? He's hunting him down in towards Redgate. See what sort of line he takes. Does he go on the aggressive? Not quite. Very sensible driving. Nice and early on the apex. Beautiful stuff there as they go in towards the craning corners. And back towards the old hairpin again. bridge, and PMMS is really starting to get reeled in by that ferocious Lotus 88 being piloted by Stuntman Mike, and he's got a bit of oversteer, a bit of a lockup. He's really getting closer and to go through McLean's. Yeah, it's a big no through Coppins, I beg your pardon, he's made it stick. PMMS seemingly not wanting to fight that one, and Stuntman Mike, the first man to escape the train, and really could have sealed his own fate there. He's in fourth at the moment. If PMMS continues his current run of form and holds up the pack, Mike can get away, escape, and not need to worry about the cars behind, instead have a good distance back to them by the time they get past. So only time will tell if that theory goes to plan though, but as they go through the hairpin again, Mepte goes wide, Sean holds on against Bandito, but still a very long train, isn't it? This late on in the race as well. So, a quick update on the running order then. Shadow Bounty leads, Strogafia second, third place is Jamie 1, fourth Stuntman Mike, fifth PMMS, who goes wide! And that leads back to the game, and they were never going to go 3 wide through the Clay corners, that was ludicrous. So fifth is now Mepte, so very impressive. Oh, they both go off again! Mepte backs again, a pirouette, the same corner, which short a retirement of second place qualifier, Asa Acola. Both cars recover very quickly. But oh, another car off in the background as well. Anxiety is struggling today, down in P12. Stops the car from spinning by hammering down on the brakes, but my goodness me, out of nowhere the inconsistencies fly. So as we were saying, a quick run through the order. PMMS 5th, 6th Sean, could be P7 as Bandito has a look to no avail, not quite. T-Bolt in 8th, Lounge in 9th, Mepte now 10th after running 5th earlier on. That was a much improved drive. He was 10th last time round. His championship wasn't looking too strong, but an incredible qualifying and an incredible first into the race, and he just couldn't quite make it stick. Back to game of P11, Anxiety 12th and AGO 6 in P13 at the moment, with our run retirement being Asa Acola. Let's take a look at that train again then. PMMS all the way back. The PM party has just begun on lap 10 of 24. They're just coming towards the end and about to start lap number 11, but PMMS Sean, then Bandito, then T-Bolt, then Lounger, maybe Mepte and Baxo at the back. It's not all over yet. Mepte could still very well have a part in this if the train stays as competitive and as close and compact as it is right now. For use of alliteration with all the 3 C's there, but still Shadow Bounty leads, only 4 seconds in front of Strogafia. That's interesting. Strogafia, who took a 5th place last time round, and who's come on, really leaps and bounds since the last race. So we'll have to wait and see how he pans out today, but if he can achieve that kind of result, he will be over the moon with that, that's for sure. So Shadow and Strog leading the way, then Jamie, Stuntman, PMMS. And PMMS, I don't want to put a commentator's curse on it, I have twice already, but could very well be an underdog. It's his actually debut here in the series, and he's already running up inside the top 5. So very impressive. I haven't seen him race before in a Sunday race-off, so to come into a championship as crowded and as hotly contested as this is very, very exciting news for him. It's a big prospect for the future of Sim Raceway and the whole Sunday race-off scenario, the scene that could be potentially building next year of more championships like this one. And don't forget those memorable moments of 2013 like the Indy 500, which saw such a class act by many of the drivers. And don't forget, if you are watching this and wanted to get involved, then Sim Raceway is a free-to-play game. Every single track is free. You get the Mitsubishi Evo for free out of the box as well, along with a couple of others. We've got a spinner in the back of T-Bolt, and Mep Day. So Mep Day makes out one more position, moves up to P9. But as I was saying, if you want to get involved, head over to simraceway.com, download the software, and you can simply enter what would normally be in a Sunday race of a race to the weekend where the top 14 qualify in their skill quant. So you won't be mismatched against drivers who are much faster than you or much slower than you. You'll always be drivers around your skill level, so you will not be in an unexciting race. You'll always have something to fight for, and they're always from Wednesdays onwards, and that will be, I'm assuming, partaking after these December championships come to an end next week. But don't forget, there's still plenty of hot lap events and quick races you can get yourself involved with, as well as many different community series as well. So there's a Sim Raceway chat option, so just go onto the website chat, say hello to the guys, and I'm sure I'll be there after the race to take any questions and have a little talk to you, see what you think about the broadcasts, along with all the different drivers as well who've competed tonight and will be also watching this race. So a big shout out to those guys. But as we just go over the halfway mark then, Shadow Bounty just goes through the crane of curves now, and you can really start to feel the adrenaline go through. So the train's starting to separate out a bit now. There's still that trio there with Sean 24 in the middle trying to follow PMMS, but there's no guarantee that he's going to be able to make it to him in time though. I think PMMS has done a very solid job, as we've said here, at defending today. He's not really let up at all. Very big way to make a debut on the biggest stage in the biggest skill quant, with arguably the fiercest competitors that the Sim Raceway service has to offer. There's Bandito as well, then Lounger, then Mep Day, then back to Gabe at T-Bolt, Anxiety P12. It's not been a good day for him at all, is it? And that's going to be, arguably, something that he's going to reflect on, and unfortunately for him as well, he's had a very strong 2013, but towards the end it's just sort of died off. A 10th place last race, it could be a 12th place here. So a total of what could be about 72 points away, where the leaders should take him one for a race win. It's not been where we like to see Anxiety. He's normally up there fighting for the podiums, fighting for top fives. Today has not been his day at all. Though there's still two sides to every story, and this story still has the second half of the book to go. As that 14 of 24 gets firmly underway, Shadow Bounty starting to really collect his thoughts now, 6.5 seconds in front. And then Strogafia is also 3.2 seconds. And look at that train and start. It's getting much more competitive back there for P6. That's Sean 24 and Bandito into the final corner. Bandito gets very close. That's scarily close, in fact, to him. Lounger also there as well. Into turn number one. Red gate again. Bandito to the side. And now still very firmly in that mix of the MMS. Still heading it up. Stuntman might P4, and that's exactly what I said. Yeah, Stuntman Mike, as I predicted earlier on, 8.6 seconds now in front of PMMS. I said if he could break that PMS party and just put himself into clean air, the rest of the field, who are arguably faster than the rookie, are going to struggle to get past him. This circuit does not offer well, many overtaking opportunities at all. where you run the risk of, well, you don't run the risk, I should say, of losing it the next corner. If you make a move the very next corner, you're either going to get overtaken back or you're going to run wide. Mike picked his timing perfectly at the chicane, got his way through, and since then has not looked back. 8.7 seconds back now to PMMS, who's got firm company of Sean, Bandito and Lounger to worry about instead of really trying to catch the cars in front of him. We'll wait and see what Bandito can do from here on out. He tries to overtake Sean 24. He's been trying this the past couple of laps, but to no avail. Sean's done a very solid job at the defensive line at the moment. He's not really let up anything at all. So look at this as well then, Bandito and Lounger. Now this could be interesting. Lounger immediately darting to the inside. He picks his place perfectly, brakes perfectly, signed, sealed, delivered, put it in your post box, and that'll be there by Christmas. Lounger takes 7th position with authority. That was a decimated move, and out of nowhere, Bandito pirouettes across the racetrack, and that's exactly what that Melbourne hairpin's famous for. And that reminded me so much of that incident back in Bahrain in 2005 or 6, I believe, when Felipe Massa almost got clobbered by Kimi Räikkönen, where that rear left tyre exploded on the McLaren, which saw it fly across turn number 1. Exactly like that, very near miss indeed. As Mepde, who's up to 8th position now, he's catching that train of 7th, 6th and 5th as well. I said his race wasn't over. I'm hoping I'm right as well. It would be great to see him now get some big points. He's in at the moment, 3.8 seconds away. Not too bad until we got a little bit of a battle for him behind now with Baxagaber and Baxagaber and Bandito, I should say, sorry. If crosses the line, his lap time does indicate a factor of a 1:17.031, 3/10 slower than race leader Shadow Bounty that time round. JP1 crosses the line at 1:17.5, so 5 better than the man in second. Jamie, too bad, 1:16.9 out of nowhere. Stunt that Mike explodes in the start of the closing corner of this race. Lap 18 and 24 on 1:16, faster than Shadow Bounty, faster than Jamie. And Parsons gave you a stun lap like it's flying out there right now. And now Pet's still trying to force a way through. He's 3.7 seconds away from Lounger at the moment. He needs Lounger to get engaged with Sean 24 and really start fighting, but nothing's come of it at the moment. It's very difficult when you're in that predicament. So as the cars make their way back in towards Goodhart for the final time this lap, they start at number 19 and 24, which have just over 6 laps left to go. Again exploding, another fast lap there, so 6.5 seconds. Self-engagement at this stage. PMMS still holding P5. This could very well be a contender for driver of the day, but in terms of the championship, things stay as they are. Shadow Bounty will be on 140 points from a possible 140. That is a monumental achievement, something I didn't think we'd see in this championship. It's only 3 races long. Yes, it's at the same track, but 3 completely different cars. 3 cars which demand 3 completely different types of driving styles. The BMW GT3, or GT2 I should say, which really did require some thought and process before going into it. We had to plan everything, and whilst it was a little bit more lenient and easy on the errors, it did still throw out that occasional oversteer moment. The Lotus 88B, a ruthless and vigorous car, needing to be driven by Sim Raceway's proudest and most profound members as they look to show a masterclass on what you really can do with a car as aggressive as this one. And then going into the Mazda 787, which requires a whole different kettle of fish altogether, as you'll look to really test your endurance skills, push them to the limits as you look to try and take one of Mazda's endurance icons and put it around the circuit which sees the Donington 24 hours year after year, the circuit which makes the 24-hour event so spontaneous and so good. It's very interesting to see how the drivers cope there. So Strogowski is still second at the moment, Jamie's still third, but what I was saying earlier on, sorry I had a bit of a technical issue there, but Shadow Bounty has taken 140 points out of 114, going into that final round with the different driving style car, completely different car, the first tin top that we're going to see, and the last one of course in this championship, the car of the year in Sim Raceway. But if he can win and get 3 wins out of 3, that will be something, as I said, I never thought I would see in a championship where it's meant to show just and separate the men from the boys and really see the most consistent driver is, and there's been no one at all to get on Shadow Bounty's level out of all 3 rounds if that happens. He's been simply faultless, and yes, we've seen him progress through the years, we've seen him get better and better and really seen him mature as a driver, but when it comes to being on the track right now in that Lotus, he looks like someone so different, someone that's been dominating tracks. He hasn't really been a prominent force at the front of the field. He's been fantastic to watch. We did get him in the midfield, but at the front he's never really been that much of a factor, and now to see him dominating a series the way he is really great to see, not just for Sim Raceway, but for all drivers in the midfield and backfield who are really inspired and motivated to say that, yeah, you can make it, you can win big prizes. Let's just see if Shadow Bounty can deliver the goods and hold on for 3 more laps around the Donington Park circuit. So quick down of the order then, Shadow, then Strogowski, then Jamie, then Stuntman Mike, PMMS still 5th, but look at that train heating up right now, that is getting. The PMMS, then Sean, then Lounger, Neptake, 3.2, he hasn't gained enough I don't think, I thought he'd gain quicker than that. But never say never if Lounger ups the ante on the aggression meter. And don't forget the next week's event is the Mazda 787, as we said, the most iconic car in Sim Raceway Sunday race-off history. You can really not argue with its reputation. It's a wonderful team as well, but right now, looks to me like PMMS is coming under a lot of pre-race pressure as Sean 24 again looks to up the ante on him. So, penultimate lap about to get underway. Let's see what these drivers can do then, there's not long left to go. Sean's still pushing, Lounge still pushing, and Mep getting closer into the final corner. Don't forget as well, if you like the cars you've seen here in the Sim Raceway, you know, the Donington Championship, don't forget you can order the Donington Collection and save a whopping 69%. I'll go through the details and what cars are involved a bit later on. So if you're new to the service and want some of the trademark cars that Sim Raceway has to offer, this is the pack to go for. We've got a McLaren Racing Legend driven by the one and only Ayrton Senna. We've got the MP412C, we've got the Renault Megane, the R8 Le Mans Series, the Ford GT40, the 787 and the BMW Z4, including a couple of others as well. I'll run through full details for you in just a moment's time. We'll wait and see just who comes out on top here. We think it's going to be Shadow Bounty. He's already started his final lap. But what I'm more intrigued to see is who wins this battle. That what could be a quartet between PMMS, Sean and Lounger. Don't forget, it's not just tickets that are up for grabs. There are big cash prizes to be won as well. If you take a look at the stipulation there and just really how much you can win when it comes to money, it's just the touring car tickets, both first, second and third overall in the 900 to 1100 skill quad do get tickets. So both the B race and the A race, top 3-point scorers overall get tickets. So every point is vital. And then fourth place gets $57. So a lot of real money to pay for that you could really end up winning. Look to Shadow Bounty right now. He's only got 2 more corners to go before it's one more race off the checklist that he has. Hugs the line perfectly and into the Melbourne corner. Out of the Melbourne corner, I should say. Into Goddard's for the final time today. Shadow Bounty. It's 2 pole positions. It's 2 races. 2 wins. 140 points. Shadow Bounty is unstoppable as he wins a second round at the Donington Championship. As he goes into the 3rd round, odds are in his favour. Those tickets could very well be his. Strong 8th year over the line. A decimating P2 will be delighted with that one. Jamie 3rd. Stuntman Mike. Going to be a big result there in P4. Mike, who really did struggle a bit earlier on, is going to be delighted to take P4 today. Into the championship standings as well. This could be delightness for him as soon as he crosses the line. Great effort. Oh, Shaw 24 spun! And Mebday does get sick. That was right, he does. But PMMS, what a drive. What a way to make an impact. Definitely a contender under the shadow for drive of the day. Great result for PMMS. Mebday takes 6. What a good job there for him as well. Great recovery. Sean's disappointment Lakers as he takes P7. Lounger 8. Variety 9. Bandito 10. Just in front of Patrick. Bolt 12. AGO 6 13th. And our only retirement is Asa Acola. So Shadow Bounty wins 2 races out of 2. As we go into the 3rd and final round of the championship at 5 PM GMT next weekend. And it's going to come down to who really is the most consistent driver all round. Can anyone stop the dominance of Shadow Bounty, or is this really signed, sealed, delivered? Have a wonderful Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. From myself, Liam Jenkins, from my cameraman, Carlos, from our events manager, Kosako, and from everyone else here at the Sim Raceway team, we wish you a very happy holidays, happy racing, and as a warm welcome as well, 69% off of the Donington collection. So you get a whopping 8 or 9, no, it's 9 cars you actually get in the Donington bundle. It's $56 saving. The McLaren MP44, your Le Mans Series Ultra, 4GT40, the iconic car of the year, the 787, a Morgan 3-wheeler, the BMW Z4 GT3, the Caterham Superlight, which has been raced here at Lime Rock Park a couple of weeks ago, the McGann Trophy, and the McLarens are some of the most used cars here in Sim Raceway, all for you in one go with a saving of over $56. So thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fantastic Christmas, and we'll see you for the final round of the Donington Championship.